Well, good evening and happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. Hope you're doing okay tonight. It's crazy out there these days, and I was thinking of something to do to kind of distract us all. So I decided I'd read some poetry on a Facebook Live post. Never done it before, and so we're going to see how it goes. I don't know. But anyway, since it is St. Patrick's Day, I thought I'd start with a little R2D2 toast to everyone. This is, of course, some delicious Irish whiskey. I won't tell you which brand, just in case you are a fan of one and not the one that I'm drinking. I don't know. Anyway, so Sláinte, here's to happy St. Patrick's Day, and thanks for some poetry. I'm also buying a little time in case people are trying to join the feed before we get going. I hope everybody can hear me okay. Like I said, I've never done this before, so it's quite possible this is going to be a disaster, and you guys will tell me later. Be like, David, bro, that was ridiculously bad. I'm sorry. So I picked 4 poems tonight. Hopefully they'll be kind of fun. And my apologies if you've either heard them before or seen the videos of some of the ones that I posted on YouTube and things like that. We'll see how it goes. This first one is called, and it's one of my favorites, and I like to start with it whenever I do a reading. It's called Marvelous Dynamite Image, Volume 3, Number 12. Even in the comics, New York skies will stop you dead in your tracks as you move from panel to splash page to panel. Same way they do as you move from block to splashing in the puddle at whatever random intersection. Up there you see the maybe famous sky scratchers seemingly scraping the undersurface of clouds, the straight and narrow buildings reaching for more, often punctuated by the bosomy protuberance of water towers or the seductive winks of billboards and LED incantations. The background is broad brushstrokes of early or late day flame tones, or the deep inked blots and bleeds of bruised nights, sometimes starry, sometimes the voids between. At your feet, at least in some places, a regular grid that gives way to a jumble of streets and angles, as below your feet parallel rails trail uptown and downtown, crossing and crissing, expressfully and locally. And whether on the ground cement paths or on under the ground paths of iron, there is boundless cause for hope. Eyeing the two great men celebrating 20 years together, though recognized legally for only about a quarter of that, the two ladies lost in each other more than the city, or the guy with the girl clearly out of his league. But by the sound of her laugh, you can tell she meant it when she said, "Be witty. Making me laugh is the quickest way to win me over." Yes, even on the train, these skies are never far away, covering even the man with no legs, pogoing from one end of the car to the other, one end of the train to the other, donation bucket crooked in his arm when he's not rattling it against the train floor, one gloved, dirty hand turned skyward. So that was the first one. Looks like got some people joining, and apparently you can hear me, so this is great. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that first poem. And yeah, I had a heart attack back in January, and if there's a place for that to happen that's good, it was New York City. The city has shown me a lot of love, and I'm really glad I'm here. So let's go to the next poem. It's called Are We on Comms or Are We on Mute? And the first time we spoke was on a crowded subway car, and it was no accident that I managed to untwist my tongue long enough for an awkward hello to rise from the timid lockbox that keeps me separate from normal human interactions, where I am out of sync. Myself, better hanging on to straps of crowded thoughts, I instead jostle human to unseparate my voice from your ears, your song from mine, No accident then that in a few moments of foolish bravery or brave foolery, I rise to move from here to you, green light to expressive tongue. And tied it is, this cottoned, hesitant tongue, where a life vest is not enough to stop me sinking into my sea of doubt, bay of disbelief. And still, I rise from this too tight seat on an underground train, crowded with commuters and dancers and panhandlers. I have accidentally convinced myself that words will not keep us separate. And this end of the car, the score of bodies separating us and our initial contact, our first words, embrace, kiss, lips and tongues dancing as if colliding in some mass transit accident. And I wade through the swamp of passengers. My heart sinks as at first I struggle to make it through the crowd of headphoned, book-nosed, ear-budded, phone-focused mass. Hope rises. And as I clamber through a bipedal jungle, as eyes rise from my solitude to your, well, come over here glance, I begin to separate this lumpy, undesirable frame from the train crowd. Thought bubbles morph into speech bubbles as hello moves from brain to tongue, and my only thought is how to sink into the seat beside you, willing a welcome, happy accident. Or derailment, resetting my course to you through accident or crash through crowd and car to rise bold and brave in your vision, how I want to sink into you, merge, mingle, marry, so as not to separate, whether connected by hand or heart, tongue finding each other on a low rush hour train, delayed and crowded. It is no accident that this crowded commute, as my tongue rises and clicks to the roof of closed mouth and I sink into my seat, insists on keeping us separate. So that was, thank you. That was one of my subway poems. Anybody who knows me a long time has known that I'm always obsessed with writing subway poems. I wrote a number when I was living in Paris, and so that's one of my many subway poems for New York City. And speaking of living in Paris, yes, there was a segue there, a little transition. I am a French speaker also, and I'm constantly obsessed with playing with what goes on in my brain when I speak in French and when I speak in English, and go back and forth between the two. So this one's called Code Switching Number 7. The French say billet doux, a gentle pairing of noun and adjective to mean love letter. And though billet can mean letter, doux is not love. Doux is sweet. Honey dripping down thighs, honeyed words dripping down pens. Doux is soft. Cottoned paper, perfumed, perfectly textured to pinch between index and thumb. Words not whispered but written, ink long dried and without echo. Doux is light. Feather-like loose leaves of paper dropping from envelopes, sweet soft misses lifting cloud-like to the reader. So the soft, sweet, light letter, the billet doux. And billet looks exactly like billet. And once upon a time, archaic time, according to certain established arbiters of connotation and denotation, billet too meant a short letter or note, but we here, not too fond of love or correspondence, prefer our billets to be military, boarding rowdy roughnecks in roomy residences, expressly forbidden in less than archaic founding documents. So the billet, then, is not a billet, but a billet is also a ticket, as in a billet d'avion, fly me first class to France, billet de train, Eurostar to Brussels, or channel under channel to King's Cross, billet de cinéma, rom-com showing at the Gaumont Champs-Élysées. And this reminds me of the expression avoir un ticket avec quelqu'un, as in you have a ticket with me. Such a beautiful metaphor for what 80s pop songs empowered in me oh so foolishly, and having a crush on you. What 90s rappers euphemistically watered down so I might find myself crushing a lot as if somehow had power or agency. But the French, tu as un ticket avec moi, you have the ticket, the control you have with a simple sheet of paper, a blank check, a ticket to fly or ride, a billet doux, a soft, sweet, light letter commanding your lodging, my longing, somewhere in here. So, yes, code switching, lots of fun stuff. And this last poem I'm going to do for you guys is about MoMA. It's one of my favorite museums in the whole world, has been since before I even moved to New York. But everybody, a lot of people know that I'm a big fan of surrealism, a big fan of modern art, pretty much anything from, say, the mid-19th century to now. Doesn't matter. And MoMA just recently went through a big renovation, but this poem is actually about a moment before the renovation happened. And it's called Changes at MoMA, the Museum of Modern Art. Changes at MoMA upon entering Gallery 2 of the 5th floor. There was once a time, leaving your reveries of Van Gogh's The Starry Night, that you were immediately greeted in the next gallery by Les Demoiselles d'Avignon. All eyes on you as you visit the brothel museum, splayed in display on the north wall, arms behind head, an invitation and exhibition, a jumble of bodies and desire, undressed to inspire, front window display for all window-licking pastimes. Now, these demoiselles play the east wall, same art gallery, same art collection, but leaving Van Gogh's The Starry Night, you must stumble out of that cafe and turn right, as if into the Rue d'Avignon itself, and then once more breaching into the canvas, as if into the room itself, these demoiselles crowded and consorting. You into the antechamber, the salon, the market, you to observe the wares, the who's and powdered, bare-breasted and proud, as if this one room had whisked you to Barcelona to buy a hat or love for one night at least. So that was a poem I wrote about some changes that happened in a gallery in MoMA, showing Pablo Picasso's Les Demoiselles d'Avignon. So that's what that came of. Maybe I should have introduced that before. I don't know. I feel like the poem should stand on its own. But anyway, so those are the poems I picked to read for you guys tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed what you heard. And if you guys are following me on Instagram, Waxy Poet David on Instagram, I think I'm going to do another reading with some different poems tomorrow night in the Instagram live feed at about the same time. So join me about 9 o'clock and we'll do that. You can also find me at waxyandpoetic.com, Waxy and Poetic on Instagram, Waxy and Poetic on Twitter. But yeah, thanks for joining, guys, and feel free to ask questions if you want me to reread something else or whatever. I'm happy to answer them. Have a great night and stay safe out there. Thanks.